Hey again, it's Zoe from Stick by the Books, and today I'm going to be doing a review on this baby, Looking for Alaska by John Green. The premise of the book is a guy named Miles Halter, but goes by the name Pudge. He's given that name because he's very skinny, so it's the exact opposite. He wants to leave his school in Florida, and he wants to go to boarding school to find the great perhaps. And what he likes to do is memorize people's last words, and I forget who said he was going to find the great perhaps, or whatever, the great perhaps. The premise of who said it, but nevertheless, he wants to find his great perhaps, and he really doesn't think that he can find that in Florida, so he wants to go to a boarding school, and he gets his parents to he persuades them, and he goes to Culver Creek. And then he rooms with this guy goes by Colonel. You have to be called the Colonel. And he is best friends. They befriend each other, and he's best friends with this girl, Alaska, who is very pretty. And she loves to read. Book readers, reading a book about people who love to read, that's Inception. They do all these crazy things, and they kind of bring out, they make Pudge not shy, and he's becomes more sociable, and he finally has friends, which is great. And then he kind of falls in love with Alaska, who's dating another guy, which just doesn't bode well, really, at all in this story. It's not a good thing. So I'm not trying to summarize the book, which I just did. This is a review, it's not a summary. I wanted to make that clear because I hate it when people I'm like, yes, I read the story, I just want to know what you thought. I don't need to hear a 5-minute. Okay. To be honest, this book actually took me a really long time to get into, to actually get flowing and actually, want to read. I really just want to go sit down and read this book. It's more got nothing better to do. Sure, I'll read Looking for Alaska. It wasn't until, halfway through the before that I actually started to get into it and be like, oh my god, this book is actually really amazing, and I love the storyline and the plot, and it's just great. You just really had to set it up, I think. That's what I'm going for, is the setup and making their friendships and everything. I liked it when they were just friends and we moved past the meeting people and moving to Culver Creek. So, if you have not read this book and you don't want me to spoil anything for you, please stop the video and go read this book right now. The second, leave. Don't want you watching this video. Don't even give it a thumbs up. Don't. So, there's this one night and they get drunk. He doesn't get drunk, but Colonel and Alaska do. Then Alaska and Pudge hook up, and it's you're finally, this is amazing, but then you're I don't really want this happening because it's not going to end well because she has a boyfriend. She has a boyfriend, and she has a boyfriend. What was super heart-wrenching and totally got you, and that a book has swept you up, is when the next day after Pudge and Alaska hooked up, the Eagles, comes in and he's we have some bad news or whatever, come to the quad gym. Then Pudge and Colonel go to the gym, and then the Eagle comes up and he's is everyone here? And then Pudge is Alaska's not here, you have to wait for Alaska. And then he's is everyone here? Again. And then Pudge is Alaska's not here! She's not here! We have to wait for Alaska! And then it dawns on you that Alaska died. She dies. She dies. She's dead. To sum it up, I wish I was in that car with Alaska. That's my feelings for that. Video cut out, but that's alright. The way John Green writes is I don't want to say the best because that's just the worst adjective ever possible, but it's he doesn't cover it up in all of this gunk of, not gunk because it's sometimes really beautiful, but metaphors and all this mumbo jumbo that you can't really decipher what the person's actually feeling or what he wants to do, or what he's going to do. And John Green he just lays it flat on the page, and he's this is how I feel. But written in with such an elegance that you don't really realize that it's amazing. And so after the fact that Alaska dies, hence the after part of the book, you see Pudge and Colonel and Takumi. You see them like try and cope with this huge thing that just happened, and the way that it's written is like it's super relatable, and you're like, I could totally see myself reacting the exact same way you do, or not being like, what the hell are you doing? But either way, it was really like understandably written. You knew where both three sides were coming from. And then they decide to do a prank in honor of Alaska, which is an amazing prank with a stripper. My favorite character was Takumi, who he is just hilarious. He's not that big. Like, I mean, he has a big impact. Like, what he does do is really impactful, but he's so funny during the prank. During the prank, he wears this hat, and he gets really serious about it, and it's his fox hat, and like it's when him and Pudge are running, they're setting off these like firecracker things, and you're gonna just think I'm annoying if I repeat it, so I'm like not gonna even try. But it's just the funniest thing, and like I was just literally laughing out loud. You just gotta read it. And if you have read it, don't you agree? Takumi is hilariously funny and understandable. You're like, I know where you're coming from. I mean, they had no right ignoring you after the fact. He was her friend too. They can't. That's not cool. And then he had information involving it, and he had a right to keep it from them. At the end, like when he has to write a paper for his religion class, and like just towards the end when they're just like finally like having peace with it, but then they have all these questions about life and hope and meaning and what their great perhaps is, and you're like, they ask you the questions and you're like, I don't know, I don't even know where to start. He's like, what's your reason for hope? And I'm like, anybody? Any tips? Like, how do you answer that question? Like, what? It's like, and like, I would have never thought of that question, but then it's like such a great point to acknowledge. It's like, thank you for opening my mind to questions of life that will boggle me for all eternity. It was a very extremely well-rounded book. The beginning was tough, I will admit, but when you got into it, it was all hilarious, heart-wrenchingly tragic, semi-romantic, not really. I mean, yes, no, it is. It's romantic because he's in love with her, and then he gets put in his place, and just like all the, I don't even know how to review it. I hate when there's books that you just love all the time. Like, there's just like, if someone says one bad thing about it, you're just like, I'm not speaking to you ever again, so. Like, then I feel like I'm not doing a good job reviewing it, that I should be more critical, but I'm like, this is basically this is what has happened whenever I ever read a John Green novel, so, yeah. This book. Oh, fun fact, I came up with a metaphor, or a question, not a metaphor, maybe it's a metaphor, maybe it's a symbol, it's probably a symbol. So, at the beginning, Pudge has never, like, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he's just lame. And, then when he goes to Culver Creek, they all smoke, like a ton, like a pack a day, and obviously smoking is legal, and they have the Eagle who's really, like, hardcore, putting the foot down on the ground. But they smoke so much, and I feel like that symbolizes for Pudge his, like turning, and he starts to smoke, like, then he starts, like, first he doesn't like it and stuff, and then he, like, gets addicted, and it's just, like, their relationship, and at first he's really timid, and he doesn't really fit in, and then he gets into the groove of things, and he's totally cool, and, like, he's so, like, connected to them, just like he's addicted to cigarettes. See the, parallels between the cigarettes and the friendships, and it shows, like, him actually, like, defying authority and stuff, and defying his safe boundaries in life. Might be just being like, hey, I just felt like writing them to smoke, so that happened. But go read Looking for Alaska, like, just do it, So, for those of you who watched this entire thing, Because you hopefully read it, because I really feel terrible if I spoiled this for you, because then you'll just hate me. But comment, talk about it, please. I need someone to talk about it. No one else except for my mother has read this book, which is awkward. I need people to talk about this. And yeah, book's amazing. +5 stars. Alright, so I am Stick by the Books. No, I'm Zoe, and this is Stick by the Books. Keep watching. Thank you for, please, yeah. Thumbs up, subscribe, do what you gotta do. See you later.